Hey girls, we're going to go over a few clips here, specifically working with our back four and midfielders in front of them, but specifically dealing with situations where the opposition has time and space in the middle of the field, and there's also space in behind our back line to be able to run into. So as you can see right here, that's the situation we found ourselves in. The player in pink has time and space. She's able to pick her head up. She's looking for a pass, and the opposition also has runners going in behind too, and there's lots of space for it to go into. So we've talked about this already. In this situation here, it's important that we drop. Gwen, you're in a good side-on position here, so I think right now you're ready to drop and deal with that ball. But what happens next is you slow yourself down, and you almost start to kind of jockey. To almost maybe try and press this player as she's dribbling forward. And what that allows this player to do is build up a head of steam. She's still able to stay on side because Lainey's still running back towards her own goal. And if this pass was weighted a little bit better, then she would have been in. So in this situation, Gwen, it's important that you decide to defend the space in behind, to keep running back towards your own goal. And if that ball does get weighted properly, you give yourself more of a chance to be able to get there. Now, you may be wondering, well, if I don't step, who's going to be the one who puts pressure on this ball here? Now, in this situation, this pressure has to come from behind, okay? So Adi, Ava Kovcek can be pressing from behind. And even if you keep dropping here another 10 or 15 yards, Gwen, we're still not going to be anywhere near the box. And you're going to be making this pass harder. The more she carries the ball, the harder this pass is going to get, and Addie and Ava are going to be able to chase her down. So again, in that situation here, Gwen, if you were maybe 5 or 6 yards dropped back, you could have even started to shape your run this way a little bit, even to make yourself a little bit closer if this ball does get played. And you'll notice Addie is already pretty much on top of this midfielder. So if this midfielder couldn't play this through ball, which is what you're trying to prevent, another couple of steps and Addie probably catches her up and maybe picks the ball off her anyway. So this is just the first clip. There'll be another couple of situations, but you'll see, Gwen, you just have that little kind of hesitation right there, and that makes it tough for you to get back in. So another situation here, Liz, this one's a little bit more for you, but again, it's good for everybody who plays in that back line, and the principles apply even higher up the field too. Again, the opposition receive the ball with time and space to carry, to pick their head up, and they're looking for that forward pass. And we also have space in behind our back line. Now, Liz, in this situation here, you're the one who's you've not committed to following your runner and defending the space in behind. Now, you'll see, if this ball would have got played now, this girl would have been onside, and Liz, you're probably in no position to be able to chase this one back. Okay, so if we run it back, once we see this situation developing here, Liz, you're level with her right now. This is where you have to recognize there's space in behind you, and you have to start to drop. All right, but you're a little bit hesitant to do that, and your body profile is square, so it's hard for you to turn and run anyway. All right, so this is where you got to be side on. You pretty much have to be starting to match this player's run, because if you match this player's run, this pass now to this player becomes very difficult, right? If you can just run this forward, okay. If you'd have just matched her run, it's very difficult for her to find you, okay. Gwen, you end up saving this situation well, just by kind of adjusting your line and playing her offside. All right, again, we're not a team that tries to play the offside trap as a tactic, but Gwen, you're smart enough in this situation to realize that she's going to run herself offside, so that's a really good decision by you. But Liz, again, this is where you need to drop and match that player's run. Now, again, what we can't do and what we wouldn't do would just be to let this girl keep driving 40, 50 yards because you're tracking a run, okay? But here's again where the pressure needs to come from another player. So Soph is tracking from behind, okay? Soph is tracking here, but I would also say in this situation, Ava Kovcek, you can close this ball down, right? You can leave your central area to press this ball, right? You end up just kind of tracking back centrally, right? But if you imagine now, We have List tracking the wingers run. We have Ava Kovcek coming across to cut that ball off. All right, now this player's life becomes a lot more difficult. Like I say, if they'd have got their timing a little bit better, there's every chance that this ball could have been played in behind. She could have stayed on side, but we got away with that one. But again, a learning moment for us for sure, and for you especially, Liz, to just kind of track that player's run. But also as well, like you're now on a side on body position, but if we go back just a few seconds, you're very square here, and it's always going to be difficult for you to turn and match this player's run once you get square here. So again, another moment for us to realize to just drop and defend that space. Another situation here from another one of our games. So again, the player in possession of the ball has a little bit of time, right? They're able to pick their head up. I don't think it's inconceivable now that she could play a ball in behind, and we have a high line. So again, I think now is an important time for us to recognize there's space in behind, there's runners ahead of the ball, so we need to drop. All right, and what you'll notice is, Addie, you're pretty square, so this is where you want to make sure you're side on, you're ready to drop. And then between you and Gwen, all right, I think you both need to drop a little bit quicker now, okay? Because this space in behind right now, if this player is just able to lift one over the top, there's every chance that this player could be, she's kind of running at full speed. You guys would have to turn, your body 90 degrees. So I think there's probably a moment here, probably now, when that girl gets that touch out of her feet, where you guys need to start dropping, right? That's a moment to recognize, and it doesn't have to be a full sprint yet, but it needs to be, I need to give myself a couple of yards now in case this ball is played behind. But what you guys end up staying a little bit too flat for a little bit too long there, so you guys haven't really moved in that space of probably a second. And now all of a sudden that space in behind is becoming a little bit more dangerous. So in that situation, I think you guys can drop a little bit earlier. All right, and then now what you'll see is we end up isolating Ainsley a little bit, because Addie, you should be probably 5-6 yards further back. Gwen, you should be 5 yards further back. Now if this ball goes kind of in between Addie and Ainsley here, this girl's probably in. Now again, we probably get away with this one because the ball out to her isn't very good. But Addie, if you dropped 6 yards back, Gwen, if you dropped 6 yards back, then the only option this girl has is to play it wide, and we can defend that situation. Okay, and again, there's no need for you guys to step out, because we have Abby putting pressure on the ball, we have Stephanie recovering, so there's no way that this player is going to be able to carry the ball 30-40 yards while we drop. Okay, so we're trying to get pressure on the ball here, but the fact that we don't have enough pressure on the ball currently means that you guys have to drop, you have to defend the space in behind. So the ball ends up being a little bit of a tough one, and makes it all the way out wide. But if we just run through it again, separation now, we have to start to drop. We have to give ourselves some time, get ourselves side on, and start to defend the space in behind the ball. So this one's a little bit of a better example, up to a point. Okay, so again, the opposition find a little bit of time and space in the middle of the field. She's got a chance to get her head up. We have space in behind. I'm happy with our position right now, but here's the moment where we have to recognize that we need to drop. Addie, Gwen, Lainey, you're all in a good side on position. Ainsley, you're in a good side on position, and you're all in a tight 4 as well, which is good. Okay. As we talked about in the last few videos, though, this is the time for us to start dropping. And Addie and Gwen, you do that here, right? You guys are ready to track that run. We don't get attracted to the ball, all right? And you can see right now, like this player's options are limited now, right? The fact that we've dropped, it's taken away some of the space in behind. The fact that we've dropped and stayed tight together means there's no real seams for her to play through. So this is a really good example up to this point. Okay, and then Ainsley, you probably just get a little bit impatient here, and you decide that you want to go and step out and try and win it. Okay, and here's the danger when we try and step out and win it, is we leave open the options in behind. Okay, and now we have to scramble to get across. We have to get Addie across. We have to get Gwen across. And Addie, you end up doing a decent job, and we end up, again, preventing a shooting opportunity. But again, just to run it back, Ainsley in this situation, you do just as you're supposed to do up until probably about now. When you stop, and then you start getting attracted to the ball and you let this runner kind of run off you. Okay, so in this situation, Ainsley, your job is to keep dropping, to keep tracking, to keep an eye on this player, to keep an eye on the ball, and let Abby be the one who closes the ball down. All right, because like we said before, this player's options are limited, and the more she carries the ball forward, the closer Abby's going to get to her. But Ainsley, you probably just make her job a little bit easier by making this little step towards the ball, and now you see it's a difficult situation to defend. So, you know, as a 4, keep dropping. Abby will come all the way across, and hopefully Abby's pressure should be enough to either make her turn back, slow the attack down, and if we slow the attack down, then we start getting other numbers back in to be able to deal with the attack. And then one final video here just to show us another kind of learning moment. All right, so this player's got the ball right now. She has time and space, so this is a moment now for us to recognize, all right, she could play a ball in behind. We have a potential runner here. We have a potential runner here. So Lainey, Gwen, Addie, your job now is to get yourself side on, be ready to drop. Ainsley's going to be recovering too. And then we have to rely on Stephanie and Abby to be the ones who put pressure on the ball. But what ends up happening is, all right, so we just kind of ran it like a second or two there. We haven't really dropped yet. Addie, you're side on, but you're a little too high and you haven't started to drop. And Gwen, you're square, all right? And if this ball gets played over the top now, who's probably going to win this race? Gwen, who's facing upfield, or the player in white who's facing where she wants to go? All right, my guess would be this player's going to have a little bit of a head start. And that's what ends up happening. As that ball gets played, she's ran past you now, Gwen, and it ends up making its way through. And fortunately, Aris is able to come out and clear that one for us. So way to go, Aris, for being up on your line. But still, it's a little bit of a sticky situation. All right, so I'll go back to that again. Ball becomes free in the middle. You can see just out the corner of your picture that she's got her head up. She's looking for a forward pass. Ainsley, you're on your way back. Good. Lainey, you're in a good position. All right, but now it's Lainey drop, Gwen drop, Addie drop. Okay, and we just defend the space in behind. We don't give them the opportunity to get to this point where she's now running, she's onside and all. I still don't think it's the best ball. We probably could cut it out, but a better pass just over the top, you know. And if Aris wasn't maybe so alert, this is probably a goal scoring opportunity. So let's just be aware again. And it's just recognizing that moment of time and space on the ball, space in behind our back line. We have to drop, we have to defend that space. I wanted to finish this video just by showing you some high-level examples of what we just talked about. All right, so this is hopefully to give you a visual of what it should look like. All right, so you'll see the ball is right here, and it's about to get played backwards. So a backwards pass is an opportunity for our backline in white to step up, okay? But as soon as then there's an opportunity for this player to turn and play the ball over the top, now you'll notice that this backline drops to deal with this space in behind, okay? And they deal with the runner. Another good example here, as the ball gets played into this player right here, he's able to turn, he's able to face forward, there's space in behind, and then the Manchester City backline do a really good job of quickly dropping, denying the space in behind, and that ends up making this player's life a little bit harder.